All right, so I want to go over this new up and coming artist. Not really a new artist per se, but it's a chick. She's probably been around for a little minute, but a lot of times with these artists, they'll linger around in the back scenes of Hollywood for a while, and then they'll actually build up their on-screen presence as an artist, right? So she goes by the name of Luvcat, Luvcat, right? Which to me points to her being a beta program, a beta program MK sex kitten, right? They call them sex kittens. Now this photo right here, you're going to see a lot of the themes of the Black Mass, right? Which is basically the Black Mass is or in other words known as the Satanic Mass, which basically is meant to mock the Catholic Mass or mock the biblical tenets, right? So we're going to go over and keep in mind the Catholic Church is not based on the Bible either, but um, what they do with the Black Mass is they try to use that as something to mock. So we're going to get into what's going on right here in this photo. So we see the red, black, and white for the Black Mass, right? The black and white checkerboard, the Masonic checkerboard that's typically utilized for duality or the bringing together, the coming together of opposites. And the red symbolizes the blood on the dance floor. Now, in the Black Mass, what they would do is they would mix together semen and a woman's period blood. Right now, keep in mind, if you recall, when I in the video in the series that I just did about the Lajagari, the relevance of the period blood, right, or just blood in general, but especially the period blood, and they would mix that together in the Black Mass, and they would actually ingest it, so they would drink that stuff, the period blood with the semen, and that's meant to mimic in the Bible or in the Christian church how people in church they eat the bread or the cracker and the wine or the red juice, right? It's meant to mimic that, but now right here what we're looking at is a symbolic representation of her being a fractured individual, someone who most likely suffers from a multitude of personalities or alters that was installed within her due to her programming, right? So we see the two mirrors and then we see her in the middle, right? Basically meaning she's a she's a programmed asset. She has different alters installed within her, and one of those being this is just my perspective on things, right? One of those being obviously the beta programming, right, which is the sexual alter, where when that alter is triggered, um, that individual loses all sexual inhibitions, right? So they're programmed to have a an incredible sexual side or sexual abilities, right? And typically that is that is symbolized with leopard print. So when we zoom in, we see the leopard print on her bra. We're going to see it more clearly soon, right? So let's scroll over. All right, so now right here, all of these photos, these are still shots from a music video of hers titled, I think it's titled Lipstick, right? Once again, her name is Luvcat. So, or translation, sex kitten, right? A beta program sex kitten, Luvcat, sex kitten, basically, basically the same word, right? Just different, basically the same meaning, just different words, right? So now right here we see the same theme of the Black Mass, right? The red, black and white for duality, the Masonic checkerboard, the red for the blood on the dance floor, and we also see the pyramid right above her, the all seeing or the cap, the stone cap, the stone cap and the pyramid illuminating her background. She's letting you know, and then she's pointing at her eye, right? While she's right, in the midst of this pyramid at the top of it. See what I mean? So, and this is after a scene where she's in a hospital gown. Her face looks all distraught, and her makeup is all smeared. Basically how one would look after their MK programming, right? Electroshock therapy, sleep deprivation, sexual abuse, being beaten, the whole nine, right? She's letting you know she's an MK program, beta sex kitten. She's an MK asset, right? Once again, the black and white for duality. We see the pyramid in the background. You see her pointing at her eye, right? They're all pointing at her all-seeing eye, right? Her right eye. This is you cannot really be more that much more blatant in regards to what you're trying to point out here, what you're trying to communicate to the viewer, right? So let's continue on. All right, so here she is again, and what she's on right now, she's sitting on top of a bull, and it's not showing it, but we're gonna get into that probably in the next clip or one of the next clips. But we zoom in right here, we can see the belt with the leopard print on it, and we already went over that in the Lil Kim Lajagari video. We went over it again in this video. The leopard print that symbolizes that she's a what? She's a beta programmed sex kitten. She's an MK asset, meaning that what? She's been through anything from electroshock therapy, all sorts of forms of physical abuse, sexual abuse, sleep deprivation. She's been on LSD, and they fractured this individual's mind and inserted all sorts of alters and personalities, and one of them being that beta program sex kitten alter, right? Where she has little to no sexual inhibition. She has no hangups in the bedroom. She can do it all, right? She does it all. Probably bestiality, a wide range of things, right? Let's continue on. Now here she is on top of the bull. Here she is on top of the bull, right? Um, and the bull, I forget exactly who the cow goddess is. If I'm not mistaken, it's Hathor. But either way, it don't fucking matter. But we see the once again the red, black, and white theme of the Black Mass, right? She's letting you know what she's about. She's on top of the bull. The bull has a multitude of different goddesses and gods that is associated with. One of the main ones being Mithras, right? Mithras is a god who had to subdue the bull, right? So he's on top of the bull, the image known as the Tauroctony, right? Where basically that was the premise of the whole George Floyd ritual, right? You see Mithras on top of the bull with his knee on the bull. You know, he subdued the bull. That's the whole. That's the premise of the whole George Floyd thing, George Floyd situation. That was a massive psyop that went global, right? But we see her here once again. She's on top of the bull. We see the pyramid underneath her. She's letting you know, man. She's being real clear about what's going on here. The Masonic checkerboard floor again for the duality, the black and white. The red for the red pyramid, symbolizing the red for the blood on the dance floor. This is very, this is very clear. The bull also represents Dionysus, right? Look into the Diagnostic orgies and the rituals associated with Dionysus, right? Let's continue on. Real freaky stuff, man. Real freaky, creepy shit going on. Here she is again, right? With her split personalities behind her, symbolized by the multiple mirrors. We also see the leopard print on her bra. We see her hair, the black and white of her hair for duality. She's being very clear. In her interview, she even said out of her own mouth, she's heavily into the gothic and the emo shit. She grew up playing around in graveyards and grave sites. Look at her interview, man. The chick is bugged out. She's all the way. She's done, right? She's finished, man. Here she is again, right? Dude, why? Okay, you had to ask yourself sometimes, what in the hell does all of this mean, and what makes people decide to put certain themes in their videos? Like there's a reason for all of this, right? I think if I'm not mistaken, I can't really see it that clearly, but I think there's also a leopard print scarf around her neck, right? Once again, we see the red, black, and white for the Black Mass. The black and white for duality, the red for the blood on the dance floor, right? She's being very clear. And again, we see the double mirrors behind her, letting you know she's bugged out, right? She's had her whole mind fractured during these MK rituals or during the MK programming. Let's continue. This is one of the this is some cover art from one of the songs on her album. I think it's actually the cover art for the video that we're covering. But throughout all of her songs, she has different cover art for every song, right? Besides just the actual video. And all of them are different, but they all have the same theme of the all-seeing eye, really the eye for Hathor, the red, black, and white, and the checkerboard for the black mass, the black and white for what? The duality. She's making it very clear to you what she's about. And we're going to cover some more themes of red, black, and white, and the checkerboard with these various celebrities, right? Because it's not just her. It's something that goes back all the way back, way back, right? And we see a lot of these stars doing the same exact thing. This is someone right here to keep your eye on. I predict that she's going to be a major star one day, man. You see my battery dying, but I predict that she's going to be like a major. She's going to be on the level of like a Lady Gaga one day, right? Look at this. Yo, it's obvious, isn't it? Right? It's pretty obvious. She's not really hiding it like that, right? She, is right in your face that she's down with the shit. Basically, she's willing to do just about anything to rise up the ladder, the Luciferian ladder behind the scenes, right? When she goes to these rituals, she's basically willing to do it all. She's willing to do it all. Blood drinking, child sacrifice, orgies, sacrificing people close to her. She's willing to do it all, man. And she's already programmed with all of this in her. Probably since she was a child, right? All right, so this right here, this is Brandon Lee. This is Bruce Lee's son. Now, Brandon Lee, you can see the same theme of the red, black, and white for the Black Mass, right? Now, the name of this movie, I believe this is a movie he was in. I'm not really all that familiar with with Brandon Lee like that, but it's called The Crow. Now, the crow is a bird in the pagan occultic world that is usually associated with death and transformation, right? I know that in Norse mythology, the crow is heavily associated with the god Odin, right? You look up Odin, a lot of times he has the crow on his shoulder or crows around him, right? And guess what? He was killed on March 31st. They claim it was an accident or something like that, but he was killed on March 31st, which is very close or right in the midst of the spring equinox, right? But let's go over a few other people who we see associated with that red, black, and white theme for the Black Mass and the checkerboard. You don't see the checkerboard here, but you still have the same theme there. Now, Nipsey Hussle, you see, right now he's a Crip. So you you would expect him to have a lot of blue usually, but a lot of times you will see him associated with that same. He died on March 31st as well. In a shooting, just like Brandon Lee, he died being shot, right? You see the same thing, the red, black, and white. The black and white for the duality or the coming together of opposites. The red for what? The blood on the dance floor, right? Once again, he was shot and killed on March 31st by someone who was clearly a MK asset named Shitty Cuz. When they caught him at a mental facility. Why would he go and flee to a mental facility? Right? Because he was going there to be debriefed. He was going there to be deprogrammed. He probably has no memory of shooting Nipsey Hussle. Right? Let's continue. Here's another chick from back in the day named Selena. Right? Selena, she was a major star especially to Hispanic people. But a lot of people, a lot of dudes like this chick, right? But we see the same theme here of the red, black and white, the black checkerboard or the black and white checkerboard. Once again, the Masonic checkerboard. I can't say this enough. It's for duality to come together opposites. But that's Selena. She also died on March 31st. Guess how she died? If I'm not mistaken, she was also what? Shot. Let's continue. This is DDG. And I like the streamers and shit like that today. They're entertaining as hell. Right? Them dudes are kind of funny. They're entertaining. They're wild as hell. But we see DDG here as well. The red, black, and white, the black checkerboard, right? With the blood for the dance floor running down on the black and white. Now his music, I don't really care for his music. I don't really know a lot of it. I ain't really heard a lot of it. But that's DDG, right? Let's continue. Wow. Right? You see Michael Jackson here. Right? You see him. He's wearing the red, black shoes, the black and white checkerboard. He's dancing on the black and white Masonic checkerboard. Right? You see the crescent moon in the back. We can make a gazillion videos covering the crescent moon and all of its associations. But the main religion today that we know of associated with the crescent moon is Islam. Islam has pagan origins. I know a lot of dudes are not gonna like hearing that shit right there. Islam has pagan origins. Islam, you can see a lot of the same traditions or really rituals that you see in Islam during the Islamic pilgrimage, otherwise known as the Hajj. When you look at the Islamic pilgrimage or the Hajj, look at the Vedic pilgrimage. They do a lot of the same exact rituals, right? They do the same exact rituals through and through, damn near basically the same shit. And we know that in Hindu, the Hindu, whatever it's called, the Hindu Vedic pilgrimage, Hinduism existed long before Islam, true or false, right? Let's continue. We got Megan Thee Stallion here, right? I got a video coming on Megan Thee Stallion, and that I don't remember the name of that video, Mamu Shah, whatever. Dude, that video was so heavily occultic. Like, it's just they put this shit right in your face, man. They put this shit right in your face. But here we see her riding the horse. The horse is usually associated with the goddess Selene, right? And we see her hair is burgundy, reddish. And we see, once again, the black and white floor. The black and white checkerboard floor for duality. Right? The Masonic checkerboard floor. Let's continue. This chick is, oh my goodness. This is one toxic bitch right here, man. Very toxic bitch, man. But a lot of these little chicks, they like her, they love her, they follow her. They basically venerate this little chick right here. But she's a demon in the flesh, man. Let's continue. Samuel Jackson and George Washington. Guess what? We're seeing the same thing. He's got the checkerboard, the red, black, and white shoes on, with the checkerboard on them, sitting on a red chair with the red background. And guess what? We got the black and white floor for duality. The black and white checkerboard floor. He's letting you know what he's down with. He's letting you know what it really is, what he's about. And then we look over to George Washington. He was an open Freemason, right? Right above this painting of him, we see Washington Freemasonry. Washington Freemason, right? He was a Mason. We zoom in, we see the eye, the all-seeing eye on his waist, on his apron, the Masonic compass, right? And he's standing on what? The black and white checkerboard floor, Masonic floor, with a red border around it. We see the red curtain behind him. Am I making this up? Tell me, am I making this up or not, right? But yeah, that'll just about wrap it up for this video. I put this on my Facebook for the cats on Facebook to break it down. I'm going to put this in my Facebook group as well. But that'll just about do it for this video. I might have more coming because there's a lot of this stuff I can go over. But that'll do it for this video. Peace.